Man United fans, let's be honest, not every young striker gets a fair chance when they come to Old Trafford. Some arrive with massive pressure, and when the system around them fails, people are far too quick to call them a flop. But today we're talking about Rasmus Højlund, his rise in Serie A with Atalanta, his Champions League magic in his very first United season, the tough start in the Premier League before that incredible scoring streak, then the struggles of a second season where his confidence was drained by the lack of support and selfish teammates, and now his move to Napoli under Antonio Conte, a coach who built systems around strikers. This is not the end for Rasmus Højlund, it might just be the true beginning. Before Man United, before all the headlines, Rasmus Højlund was just a fearless young striker at Atalanta. In the 22-23 Serie A season, he scored 9 goals in 32 appearances. Now on paper that's not earth-shattering, but context matters. He was only 20 years old, was adapting to one of the most tactical leagues in Europe, and more importantly, he was showcasing traits you cannot teach. He had pace, he had the aggression to run behind defenders over and over again. He had the bravery to take shots, even when he missed. Defenders in Italy did not give you space, yet Højlund created his own. That's why scouts all across Europe sat up and took notice. United needed a striker, and after watching him in Atlanta and for Denmark, they saw the potential. The 70 million price tag, huge expectations, and the biggest stage of all followed. His first season at Man United, 23-24, was a roller coaster. In the Champions League, Rasmus Højlund shone. He scored 5 goals in just 6 games, including that brilliant brace against Galatasaray. While United as a team completely collapsed in Europe, he looked like he belonged. Then, that tells you everything about his mentality. He was not afraid of the big stage. Now in the Premier League, the story was tougher. He went months without scoring a league goal. The media mocked him. The pundits labeled him as a flop. Rival fans laughed every week he went without scoring. But here, the thing about mentality. When he finally broke the duck against Aston Villa in January 2024, the floodgates opened. He went on a streak of 6 consecutive Premier League games with a goal. That is elite. That is resilience. Most young strikers would have crumbled under the pressure, but Rasmus Højlund responded with fire. By the end of the debut season, he had 16 goals in all competitions. In a dysfunctional team led by poor tactics and inconsistent service, that was a serious return. Then came the second season, 2024-25, a managerial change, a new system, a fresh chance. Right. Well, no. This is where honesty is needed. Højlund is a pure number 9. He thrives off service. He thrives when wingers cross the ball, when midfielders feed him through passes, when the team plays to his strengths. But United did not provide that. And here is where I get critical. Garnacho, Antony and Rashford. These players failed him. Let's start with Garnacho. Fans loved his flair and step-overs, the highlight reel goals. But how many times did he actually look up and find Højlund? How many times did he deliver a simple cutback or cross into the box? Almost never. Instead, he cut inside, ignored the run, and took a shot from an impossible angle. He made it all about himself. 34 league appearances and just 3 assists. That's shocking. Antony was predictable to the point of comedy. He used to cut inside on the left foot, curl, miss, and repeat. A one-trick pony who stopped the striker every single game. Rashford, we know Rashford can score goals, but he's one of the most selfish forwards United have produced, constantly chasing his own moment of glory instead of building a connection with the number 9. The result? Rasmus Højlund was left isolated, starved of service, and his Premier League rally dropped to just 7 goals. You could see it in his body language, the head drops, the frustration, and the confidence draining out of him. And yet, in Europe, something always seemed to click for him. In the Europa League, he scored 5 goals in 8 games. Against continental opposition, he looked like himself again. Intelligent rounds, strong finishes, and sharp movement. It reminded fans of the Champions League Højlund from the season before. This is the story of his time at United. When given chances, he delivered. But those chances were few and far between because of the selfishness of the players around him. Now step back for a moment and consider the context. Rasmus Højlund is 22 years old. He was 20 when he signed for Manchester United. He was given the number 9 role at the biggest club in the world with a £70 million price tag and told to deliver immediately. That is a heavy burden. Even great strikers take time. Drogba's first season at Chelsea was not great. Henry struggled at Juventus before exploding at Arsenal. Young forwards need support and development. But instead of patience, Højlund was surrounded by chaos, dysfunctional tactics, wingers more interested in themselves, and a midfield unable to create. It was never going to work. And now, the next chapter. Napoli, Antonio Conte. This move could reignite everything. Conte builds around strikers. Look at his track record. At Juventus, he built around Tevez. At Chelsea, he made Diego Costa unplayable. At Inter, he turned Lukaku into one of the most dominant strikers in Europe. Under Conte, Lukaku scored 64 goals in 95 games. That is no coincidence. Conte's system thrives in service to the number 9. Wingbacks delivering crosses, midfielders feeding through balls, a whole structure designed to make the striker the focal point. That's exactly what Højlund needs. Napoli need a replacement for Lukaku because he's injured. Højlund, with his pace, power and hunger, is tailor-made for that role. In Serie A, defenders sit deeper and space in behind is harder to find. But with proper service, Højlund can feast. And Conte will make sure he gets it. So let's wrap this up. Højlund's Manchester United journey was not a failure, it was a lesson. He gave us Champions League brilliance, he gave us Premier League scoring streak, and silenced the critics. He showed us flashes of the player that he can become. Yes, the second season was tough, but was it his fault? No, it was the selfishness of Garnacho, Antony and Rashford. They failed him. They refused to play for the striker, and because of that, his confidence took a hit. But at Napoli, under Antonio Conte, Højlund has the chance to reignite his career. He's still only 22. His story is just beginning, and I am telling you right now, do not be surprised when Rasmus Højlund becomes one of Europe's most feared strikers again. Good luck in Italy, Rasmus. Man United fans will be watching, and many of us will be cheering you on.